Hey everyone, my name is Dr. Connie. I hope you guys are all doing well. I really barely can contain the excitement for the upcoming Yoga Mastery Workshop I'm hosting in our private Facebook group. The link is in the show notes below. It's completely free. So if you're a professional of health and wellness or a yogi who wants to learn ways to master your mind body, join me by signing up with the link provided in the show notes, as I said. Some of you are new to my channel, so I want to sincerely welcome. My name, again, is Dr. Connie. I'm an autoimmune functional medicine expert, as well as a patient who's lived with an autoimmunity condition for over 20 years. I also have a unique background in my diverse education, which includes bachelor's in psychology, master's in nutrition, and doctorate in physical therapy. And I've always been the epitome of health and wellness since I was a teenager. And I was on a track to live out my passion and dream of promoting wellness and health to the world when I was given the lupus diagnoses, as I was getting ready to make my mark out of the educational system into the world. So you can imagine what that did to a young mind, right? So my whole life was turned upside down, and I had to question everything I thought I knew about myself, the mental system, future, my health, and everything I've ever known. Little did I know back then that the fork in the road was absolutely necessary for me to be who I am today. So I'm really embracing living my truth today with everything that I've got to offer. And with this pandemic layered in my work today, it really forces me to think about thinking outside, connect all the dots in discipline, which I was hesitant to do in the past. So I was gifted with a curious mind always, ever since I was a little girl. And that never stopped, or I never stopped asking questions. So with so much education under my belt, when I was met with limited solution for my health problem when I got diagnosed with lupus, I became obsessed with learning just how I can create a better future and life for myself despite the odds stacked against me. Because when they told me it was incurable, my life was going to change, I would be subject to living with medications, I said, absolutely not. That's not the life I envisioned. So I'm going to fight my way to create a better future for myself. And I've been at that years now. So I began my education with psychology at first because I was fascinated with the workings of the human mind. And when considering the option to get my PhD in psychology, I wasn't so sure that I can sit and listen to everybody's problems all day. And I was told that I would need a shrink to become a shrink, right? And I thought that was really not something that was for me. And it seemed super boring for me. So I thought about combining psychology with nutrition, which was my master's. And that would be amazing because eating is universal. Everybody has to eat. And it's a behavior that has deep connections with psychology. And psychology of the mind is much more important than the dietary plans. And even to this day, you guys all know there's a lot of hypes in diet and nutrition because diets don't work in and of itself. It's the psychology, the mindset of the client that is going to apply the knowledge in nutrition to be able to have leverage to make drastic changes in their health through nutrition. So I saw that there was a little bit of a missing gap there as well. So I quickly learned that nutritional counseling was just as boring as psychology when I was actually working as a registered dietitian in the hospital and for different medical practices, because I'm still telling them what the food solutions are, but until they apply whatever they were learning, nothing was going to happen. So back when I graduated, there was no internet. So all the creative things we can teach patients online with all the resources that we have available just wasn't an option. The practice of dietetics were limited to two-dimensional thinking, and that was at the hospital, doctor's offices, or if I wanted to set up my private office, I had to have my brick and mortar. And it just seemed very boring for me because I knew that I couldn't make drastic impacts in the lives of the patients that I served. So Physical therapy then seemed like a great option to actually demonstrate and get people move their body, especially in their recovery phase. And it felt to me like the best of the three worlds because we applied psychology, which dictates behavior. And of course, everybody who's in physical therapy, if you're moving, you better pay attention to your nutrition to promote healing. And then, of course, movement for healthy mobility was what I was promoting for my patients. So, when struck with an autoimmune disease that affected my immunity, mobility, psychology, and digestion, I had to figure out a better way. That's when I found traditional Chinese medicine and functional medicine and yoga, Pilates, etc. And that's what consists of drastic education in all the disciplines because I knew I needed everything to be combined. Everything was so fragmented. Not one method worked for me. And so I've been thinking about how best ways to combine all the practices together to serve my patients in a meaningful way, just like I needed. So, what I learned in the different industries and disciplines of health was that each discipline was stuck in their linear thinking model. Their scope of practice limits, for example, physical therapists from giving nutritional advice and registered dietitians from providing therapeutic movements for recovery. And so, unless you were trained in movements, like the disciplines, the bureaucracies of the system really divides the professionals to take their little piece of the whole body healing of the patient. And our medical system is very specialized today, it's very fragmented. And so, I feel the deep need to take a step back and look at the bigger picture and see how we can bridge that gap to make the practice more whole. So, let me just explain to you within the therapeutic discipline, we've got speech therapy, who specializes in the muscles for speech and swallowing. So, they work closely with the dietitians who handle the foods for the patients. And this is in a hospital setting. And we have occupational therapists who only handle fine motor involving the upper extremity, your hands, writing, and like tying shoelaces, putting on makeup, and things like that is more falls with occupational therapy. And they're not allowed to help patients with walking or gait training or anything involving the lower extremity. So, do you see how this can be so confusing and it's not as effective because everybody adheres to their own disciplines with their own specialties? The end of the day, there comes a problem because the patient is on the whole. And so we have this interdisciplinary meetings where all the specialists come together, including pharmacy. If the patient has lung issues, the lung doctor, hormone doctors, or immunological doctors, infectious disease, they all come with occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, and dietitians come together to talk about the cases about the patient. And nobody's allowed to go outside of their scope of practice to recommend certain things. So here's this one patient with lots of experts in that discipline. That works maybe in an acute setting in the hospital, but you can see in the outpatient setting where we're in our normal lives, and especially in this pandemic, we're stuck at our own homes. This poses a huge problem, in my opinion. But I think you would see it's like common sense to think you can't break pieces of the whole together, thinking that you're going to put this person on the whole or back as a whole being with fragmented approaches to the health and wellness. So, physical therapy can treat the whole body and its motor functions. And yes, there's overlap in the practices between occupational therapy, upper extremities, and the lower extremities. But we have to adhere to the scope of practice guidelines to not step on each other's discipline. Then there's the massage therapist that can manipulate and massage soft tissue passively, but gets tricky if they want to help patients with movement. But think about this. You can incorporate movement for these specialists with a less education. That's not a license, right? Like personal training, Pilates, yoga, just to name a few movement techniques that you can incorporate. And so patients are wanting somebody who can be well versed in all these things. So there's a lot of personal trainers who give nutritional advice, who teaches patients how to be fit and does all the things. And then the Pilates and yoga is the same way, right? And let me just go a little bit further to talk about functional medicine. Functional medicine is all about lifestyle medicine. If you pull out of functional medicine, it's all about teaching patients how to live day to day. But because the practitioners are mostly physicians who want to get out of the broken medical system practices, they complicate the discipline into microscopic biochemical examinations that claim to get to the root cause of the health crisis. So we've got the overall big picture of the patient, and then we have to kind of get all the way down into nitty and gritty. And while there's some benefit to looking at the body that way, of course, there's the yin and yang to things, but sometimes I see that, the irony between the disciplines is there to kind of fail to see the big picture when you are focused so much in the smaller picture. And then in each discipline, at the end of the day, we're validating the very discipline that we're a part of. So we have a system where it's very fragmented. And if you've been in the medical system as a patient or even as a physician, physical therapist, occupational therapist, whoever is listening here, or even as a nurse, right? You know how broken things are because you're trying to get all these experts to agree on something. And then in the middle, you've got the patient who just wants healing. So this is what really, really prompted me to create this podcast and the alkaline method, because the system is set up for failure, because it does not consider the body as a whole being. And many disciplines like functional medicine talks about the individualized medicine and talks about addressing the patient on the whole, but most practitioners still get lost in the science. And our didactic training is so vast, so deep, and so intricate that there is no way you can hold all that knowledge in your head, because everything is so detailed that you will fail to see the big picture. So you've got to pair the yin and the yang. Yang is the big picture, yin is the microscopic awareness and understanding. I believe science is super important. Evidence-based approach, very important, no doubt. But I also believe in our human body's ability to heal. And I want more of the healthcare practitioners to really recognize this simple fact. And healing is really an inside job. We can't do the healing for the patients or the clients. So the very paradigm of each discipline severely limits all practitioners. And the problem of interest, or the problem of the insurance to the mix, kind of poses another problem, because we've got these third-party payers that are telling the experts exactly what they will pay and what they will not pay, right? And so all that to say, we've got consumers who has access to just about every discipline on the internet. And you know what, you guys? They are getting confused because all the theoretical disciplines in science on health and wellness are interconnected. And a lot of the times, these experts focus on the small component of the bigger picture, and they put their whole work on that little microscopic solution, if you will, right? So I believe it's all about recognizing the need for change in the way we practice medicine, change in the way we practice wellness. We need to do a better job of promoting health and wellness, and it requires you to be or have a better understanding, first and foremost, of how our body, mind, and physiology works together to have a strong foundation of the internal pillars of the mind body to move towards equanimity in the external world. And that's the only way we're going to survive this chaotic world today. I believe yoga is the ultimate practice that allows us to bridge the gap between the self and the world, health and sickness, yin to the yang, the full spectrum of health. So, looking at health is not in parts, but in some total of all parts that converge to make the body whole, both mind, body, and spirit. And this is the true essence of healthcare that is missing in our world today. So, let's first understand what yoga is. So, the Sanskrit root yug, right? Yog means to join or to unite. Yoga is the ultimate path to self realization. And according to the yoga scriptures, the practice of yoga leads to the union of our consciousness, of that of the universal consciousness, moving towards a perfect harmony. So, internal consciousness with the external macroscopic, microscopic to the macroscopic, yin to the yang, right? It's the merge of the two, right? And it's the mind body and the man and mother nature. So yoga provides the ultimate strategy to obtain mind body mastery, which then leads to self mastery, which then leads to health mastery, which leads to whatever else, business or even life mastery. Our current pandemic today will be destructive, okay, and is already destructive, and it will be destructive to just about any industry. We're moving to our homes, the office spaces that are empty. It'll never be full because people are recognizing that it's unnecessary to be together, commune together to have efficient workspace. Once the people have gone home and they're finding themselves just as productive as when they're in the offices, there's going to be a big shift, right? And there's a shift even in the yoga industry. I have a wellness center. I have a nice, beautiful hot yoga studio. I know that the practice of yoga is going virtual. And I do believe for yoga, we do need communion. It needs to come together. I keep thinking about the experience for me of the hot yoga experience that can only be replicated in my studio. So I know that there will be a time to merge back into the studio. But for the time being, the best defense for you to protect your business is to understand this link between or have a clear understanding of having the need to have the hybrid model of business. Do what you can do online, but also be ready when the market shifts back and the world opens up when we've got a good handle on this COVID pandemic, right? And so we have a choice to put our head down and keep doing what we've always done, hoping for things to go back to normal, or be proactive in really predicting what the change will be, and that you also know that change is absolutely necessary. And we need to meet the market when the world opens up again. But this is a time to be positioned in ways where you can be second to none and leverage this time that you've got at home to educate yourself on and really gaining the capabilities right now so that you can meet the market where they are. So every discipline teaches us the same tactics, right? Like in physical therapy, we get taught manual therapy techniques, therapeutic modalities, everybody, right? And then same thing in yoga. We get taught how to do yoga, right? But how to's, the tactical work never gets anywhere because everybody who's somebody is copying that same thing, right? So, yoga teacher training teaches us, like I said, how to yoga in a very superficial way. Yoga teachers are flooding the internet trying to gain market share, teaching what everybody else is teaching is how to yoga. And functional medical docs are struggling with the same. We were taught a certain tactic in functional medicine, and they're deep and wide, but we're not taught the business model that's quickly changing right now. Everything's shifting to the online. Are you ready for that shift? Right? And many of the functional medical doctors, sometimes they put their career or they hang their expertise on specific things like microbiome or gut health is everything, right? Or some people are just about brain health, a certain type of diet like fast MD, right? Like it's all about fasting. But if you really know that that's a good, smart way to market, but you have to also know and really expand your mind to incorporate all things that make up health in a drastic way to have exponential impact in the lives of the patients and clients that you serve. So everyone speaks on the same proprietary language for every discipline that are taught by the institutions, whatever institutions that might be. In physical therapy, it's very different. Dietetics, it's very different. Yoga, it's very different. Pilates, very different. Functional medicine, very different. I have this unique ability to kind of sit and think about what is the thing that ties in. How can I bring the best of all worlds to bring it so that we can teach human beings how to access their longevity and health long term. Not talking about the tactical work. I'm talking about really the deep dive critical thinking of being very strategic in how you're going to drive your business, as well as how you're going to help and look at health in a different way to blow your mind and expand your thinking to incorporate physical movement, physical therapy, and functional medicine, nutrition, all the mindset stuff, all the spiritual stuff, all the things that make human beings be optimized for their health. Because if they don't synergistically have that equanimity in all aspects of their lives, then it's going to be very limiting for them to live the best life, right? So the only way to win in this market share is to be the best in the industry. And that's how? By thinking differently. Really expand your mind to incorporate all these things. Knowledge is power, but even more powerful is applied knowledge. People today don't need any more knowledge. I mean, I got flooded with knowledge. How much of that can we retain? It's when I'm able to go and create some white space for myself. And I do have that time now. And I've been doing a lot of that. Only then can I merge the different disciplines to create something new and better. And that is drastically different from the herd mentality of just doing the same thing that we're taught, right? And so I need you, if you're listening to this, you're a yoga teacher, some of you are functional med doctors, some of you are physical therapists, occupational therapy, registered dietitian, or even health coaches, massage therapy, whoever and whatever you are, you need to think differently. Be responsible about the information that you're sharing. Don't get suckered into another tactic. There's so many different methods, right? There is so many different tactics that are being shared. But when you adapt a tactic, you have to do that thing. But you're limiting yourself by just following this way and not combining all the other aspects of it to provide value for your clients. And the only way you can do that is by thinking outside the box, outside of your discipline. So I want you guys to think about caring more for the outcome of your clients than other doctors, therapists, yoga teachers, all your competitors. Care more about their outcome. You'll win big this way. And in order to provide the best service, we must be intimately aware of the needs of the market, needs of your consumers, your clients, and get busy serving those that need your services. But before you can do that, you must also clearly know who your customer market is. Okay. Or who your customer is, what their struggles are, what's your solution that's fixing their problem, right? And you have to demonstrate in your own words when you're marketing to them, you have to really feel their pain and be able to explain their pain better than any of your competitors. And have a program, complete program with an end in mind. Those of you who are yoga teachers, don't be just another yoga teacher teaching them how to do yoga. It's not about the poses. Think of the end in mind, right? Think of the result that they're getting. Is it weight loss? Is it hormonal reset? Is it postpartum, body reboot? Is it pelvic floor strengthening, eliminating urinary incontinence, like getting really specific. For those of you functional medical doctors, what is it that you're serving? Don't be a functional medical doc that addresses everybody's problems, getting to the root cause of everything. Because when you do that, you become a generalist and you're not speaking the words of your ideal customers. And the better you can be focused on the solution for those who need your specific program, the better you can be the only advisor, a trusted advisor that your clients think about when they think about their problem. Because you're putting into their words and in their mind what their problem is and what that solution will look like, right? So, just limit yourself or limiting yourself from thinking yoga, I'm a yoga teacher or I'm a functional medical doctor. And then you speak about what Institute of Functional Medicine tells you to speak about. Or if you're a physical therapist, you're an orthopedic or pediatric, whatever that physical therapist is, it's a profession given by somebody else, right? And then if you're an OT who handles a lot of upper extremity issues or massage therapists, right? These are all professions, very linear thinking model, scope of practice. It keeps us separated. I want you to think outside of that and think life-changing program that you're providing, right? So I want you guys to use yoga or consider using yoga as the bridge between what your profession is or what's before, the gap between the limits of your profession and healthcare, and address the gap. It's really thinking on your own terms. It's almost like you have to create space to really think about this on behalf of the customers or not customers, clients that you are serving. Getting stuck in one way of doing things is very limiting, you guys. We must rise above thinking linearly and think outside the box. Combine the different disciplines, the lifestyle factors that actually helps clients gain traction towards their health. And I'm talking about the things that they do or they can do every single day to create momentum and results. And really, that's why I'm talking about yoga. Yoga really is the path because it combines movement, energy, psychology, spirituality, and enhances metabolism, detoxification, and elimination. Just this practice alone, right? And most people think it's just a fitness routine. It's not, you guys. Beyond this, think about what your clients need before, during, and after the yoga practice to enhance their health, wellness, and longevity, right? And that's where you can find, if you're a functional medical doctor, you can find all the bits and pieces that are outside that are not being told really when we're getting educated, right? We're all getting it's like a fire hose hydrant, like it's just coming at you. How much of that are you really retaining? Because at the end of the day, your clients are waking up with pain and suffering. And how do you teach them how to do that? And we lose them with our expertise because we are thinking about our proprietary ways of thinking, root cause of the problem. When you focus too much on the problem, we're not thinking about the solution. And sometimes the solution are basic essential principles of health. So will eating a certain way, using supplements, meditating, journaling help? And how about starting with those things that's going to help you do those things, but teach your clients to do just that? Really think about your clients. Why do they seek yoga, functional medicine, physical therapy, occupational therapy, massage therapy, whatever your profession is? Everyone who has a chronic illness is recommended to do yoga and meditation. Did you guys know that? And so, how elevated can you make this practice be? So, really, I started to talk to more of my functional medical colleagues and realized you guys talk about do yoga, do meditation. We all know the scientific journals because we're evidence based practitioners, right? But how many of you guys are really helping patients to do the thing? You are the brand by which your patients come seek you. How differently can you be by actually teaching them yoga, teaching them different aspects of yoga? And yoga can incorporate the physical therapy part, therapeutic exercises, the functional medicine part of addressing trauma and emotional health, right? Stress management. Physical therapists, what about the post rehab, right? That's where you can bridge that gap. Massage therapists can incorporate yoga and do therapeutic interventions that way, utilizing the practice of yoga. Do you see where we're going with this? Occupational therapists. I know pediatric occupational therapists. You guys do really well with attention deficit, for example. Lots of kids who need your services have different compensatory mechanisms in their brain. How about if you use yoga as meditation for kids? Right? There's simple things that you can incorporate. It's what brings you together. Because in every given discipline, you guys, I know in the field of personal training, there's different programs out there that are like really killing the market, and they create something so successful that they now are training healthcare professionals to do personal training, for example, or buy into a certain method of personal training. And it's the same way in every discipline. I need you guys to think outside of your profession to see what more can I add to before, during, and after for my clients. What more, what edge can I have? Not just being in your practice and doing continuing education for physical therapy, occupational therapy, functional medicine, and yoga, but how about if you expand your mind and think beyond what's possible, right? So, how elevated can you be is the question. If you're a functional medical doc, how elevated can you be? Can you actually show, not tell them? Don't hide behind your lab coat, but actually get down on the floor, start where you are, and start to teach them meditation yourself. Teach them the yoga, and you get to heal and be the embodiment of the change that you want the patients to make. And that's more impactful, you guys. Yoga teachers, can you incorporate more healing, be more responsible, give your students a little bit more therapeutic intervention, know exactly how to handle the herniated discs? Post rehab is what you're going to get a lot of. Because think about who comes to yoga. It's not always the 20 somethings who wants to learn how to do the splits. You want to be the yoga teacher who teaches them how to properly gain flexibility, not just end all be all being the final expression of the poses, right? We need the yin to the yang. Education is absolutely necessary, but provide the clients what they need. Use yoga as functional medicine. This is what I mean, because it's functional. It's the ultimate healing modality to help clients actually transform. So, if you want to learn how you can use this pandemic time to catapult your career by helping people in a meaningful way, because that's what people are seeing. They're seeking those practitioners who they can trust, who can provide them with security. And then they want those people that are in the business that helps other people. These three traits in the marketplace is what people are looking for right now. Anything that used to, like any Instagram, Instagram people that were promoting like lifestyle travel and just doing yoga in their expensive yoga outfits. Now people are saying no to that. They want something that's going to help them survive because they're in this mindset. They want health and wellness in a meaningful way, right? In any obstacle, you guys, there's a huge opportunity. Now is the time to think differently and gain new skills to be ready to serve the market when it opens up, because it will open up. And you have the opportunity to speak the language that the market needs to get your clients so that you can help them in a big way. It's all about serving them first. Fall in love with the clients first and foremost. And in this time, don't be reactive, be proactive and go towards your goals, because you know what? Now is your time. If you're ready to make drastic changes in your profession and want to do something meaningful by gaining clarity, focus, and knowledge, then join me in the free Yoga Mastery Workshop, where I'll teach you how to elevate your practice, no matter what that is, in teaching and leveraging the knowledge to meet the market and begin to do the work that matters, really. Click the link below, sign up today, and do the work that makes a difference and makes this world a better place. Because together or alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. So the link is in the show notes. Please join me today and really consider utilizing yoga as functional medicine. Think outside the box, right? This is the time. Everything is disrupted. Are you with me? Have a great day, you guys, and I'll see you guys all soon.